when you think of famous Harrison County natives, you probably think Joe B. Hall, the creators of The Walking Dead, probably 3M Post-it notes. But you should think about our guest here today. If you would, introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Josh Ashbrook. I'm the current head wrestling coach here at Harrison County High School for the men's and women's wrestling program. Wrestled all my life here in Kentucky and just happy to give back and happy to host Alex Green up here. I know he traveled a long way. We appreciate you coming up.
Now, I will say, you guys know, if you don't know, I'm from the hills, born and raised in the hills, but I will have to say, horse country, that Bourbon, Harrison, all down through this way is just absolutely, I was driving through today, everything was all bloomed out. I was like, man, this is absolutely beautiful down through here. But we're going to talk today about your 2007 state finals match. But before we get to that, how do you find, for the people that don't know, how do you find wrestling?
Oh man, for me it was, I grew up wanting to be like my dad, and I knew he wrestled.
That's what I wanted to hear.
So, yep, I wanted to be like my dad. He was a two-time state placer here for legendary coach Rick Dingus in 82, 83, 83, 84. He was fourth and then state runner-up in 84. And I just stumbled upon a youth wrestling flyer over at Northside Elementary up in the north end of the county, I think when I was in first grade, and I took it home and gave it to my dad. He's like, heck yeah. He said, we'll do it. And I was ate up with it ever since. So
now, we do have the medal ceremony for the 83 state championships.
In the 132 weight class, in fourth place from Harrison County, Josh Ashbrook. In third place from...
We do not have the 84 video, so we're going to make a plea to you. If you have the 1984 KHSAA state finals, what weight was your dad again?
38.
138 pounds. So
wrestled Jeff Grimes.
If you know Jeff from Fern Creek, Jeff Grimes, if you're watching this, or like maybe you know the Fern Creek has a video archive, or whatever the case is, you're sitting on it for whatever reason, please reach out. Contact information for me is in the video at the top of the YouTube channel. You can hit me Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. We just want a copy of that. You have never got to see your dad wrestle, have you?
Nope.
We would love to be able to come back, do like a memorial video. Your dad's no longer with us,
Yep.
and that would just be an awesome way to add to the series. So back to first grade, Josh finding a flyer. Did you just come straight to the high school wrestling room? Did they have like a league?
So it was like it was a March. It was Coach Regal's just kind of introductory wrestling camp, and I came up, and I was just naturally a rough and tough kid, and very strong, and just I went 90 mile an hour just like my son now, and it was just something that I was naturally kind of gravitated towards. I was always wrestling and boxing and just, I don't know, just always fighting with kids and all my buddies and my brother for sure. So it was just something that I took a chance on, and I fell in love with it, and I was really good at it, and just kind of took off from there. And then after I started that, in probably second or third grade, I started coming up to the varsity practices. And one of my old high school teammates, Michael Cordray, we would go up there. His dad was on the 83, 84 team with my father, so it was kind of, two of the old buddies bringing their boys up there, and we'd just take a circle in the back, and they'd work with us, and the high school kids would come and help us. It was awesome, and then it just kind of took off from there.
My God. Now, if you can't tell, we're in the mat room here of Harrison County. Is this where you wrestled in high school, elementary?
We moved over here in 2016, I want to say. Southside Gym, that's where Coach Rick Dingus and the wrestling program was established, and they were there maybe from, I know in the early years they wrestled in the band foyer, and then they took over Southside, and they wrestled there for, I'd say, all the way up until, I'd say, from late 70s to 2016 when we moved over here. So a lot of history over there in that gym.
Son, cool, good. That's why I love doing these videos, is for, because I guarantee there's people shaking their head, or oh, it was 1977 we started in this whatever, because you know how people are when they watch and they're like, yeah, that's right. So you are elementary school. Now, did Harrison County have a middle school program?
We did. This is probably a fun fact that you may not even know. In 2001-02, the KHSAA allowed sixth graders to compete
my.
at the varsity level.
I did not know that.
So it was myself and I believe Travis Sullivan, future three-timer, four-time finalist, and we were the only two sixth graders that year to be allowed to, I guess, make it to the state tournament. And that year, my sixth grade year, I lost to Garrison Headley in the blood round to go to the state tournament. So
Henry Clay, right?
yes, he was tough. And then sixth grade I wrestled 103, seventh 103, eighth grade 119, freshman year 125, then 135, 135, then 152. So I wrestled varsity from 6th to 12th grade.
I did not know that.
pretty
About
cool.
the sixth grade. That is cool.
Yeah, it was 1 year.
Well, that's incredible. Now, you get into high school, of course, we got your bracket, but before we get to your 2007 bracket, let's kind of go over your high school career real quick. 2004, you make it to the state championship as an eighth grader, 119 pounds, like you just said. Kind of there getting your feet wet, you kind of know what it's like. So that would have been at the dungeon. So you got to wrestle all your time at the dungeon, which is cool. 2005, you're a freshman, 125 pounds, you come in eighth place. You remember who you wrestled in that?
Oh, yeah. I wrestled back my freshman year. My rival was Rusty Parks.
Okay.
I lost to him 5 times, 4 of them by a point, and then in the region finals, he kind of took it to me a little bit. But I think I was 40-10, and 5 of my losses came to Rusty Parks. So
Now, if you
he
haven't-
was my big rival.
Rusty, we've got his 2004 video on the channel. You can kind of go back and see what he was up against. Rusty was a good wrestler.
Oh, he was tough.
Really, really good wrestler. 2006, 135 pounds, third place as a sophomore.
That was the year of Jacob Merton.
Oh, yeah.
He dropped down from 140. I thought, things were going good. I think I was 47-1 maybe going into the state tournament. Beat Nick Griggs in the region finals, and you know how that is.
Yep.
Opposite sides of the bracket.
Yep.
Well, the draw comes out, and I see Jacob Merton on my side. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go.
Yeah.
But you know his stats. He's a legend in Kentucky and in Ohio and at the college level.
Yeah.
And met him in the semis, and it was 9-1. 9-1 in the semis, and I was on top. I was riding him, and I was like, you know what? I'm not just going to take this loss. I'm not going to take a major decision loss.
Right.
So I kicked him, tried to throw him. Well, he threw me, and I ended up losing 14-1. But it was a great experience. It's a story I like to tell.
Oh, yeah,
We talk about all the time.
Jacob is in my top 4, top 3. He's on my Mount Rushmore of
Oh, yeah.
best Kentucky wrestlers that's ever stepped on the map.
He was my college teammate as well. He was
That's right.
He was an animal.
And we'll get to that here you sneak peek of the future here. And then as a senior, 2008, 152 pounds, third place, kind of.
Yep. Had a great run through the semis and had one bad match, man. Lost to Dakota Choate, and kudos to him. He was a better man on that day and at that time, and I think I ended up 56-1 and lost one match, but that's kind of how the cookie crumbles, and hats off to him because he showed up at the right time and handed me my first loss that year. So
I feel you, man. Now, 2007, though, was the year we're doing the video for, what we're going to talk about. 135 pounds, we'll get to who you wrestled just in a second. First round, you wrestled Jacob Krutzer from Fairdale. You win that by a fall in a minute, 37 seconds. Jonathan Miller from Ohio County, you win that by decision, 5-4.
He was tough.
I was going to say 5-4.
He was a scrapper, and I don't know if I really opened up in that match. I haven't watched that match much like this one. But he was tough. He was a tough kid, and I wrestled him earlier that year as well, and the match was a little different, but I was probably a little bit more reserved and conservative during that match, but he was a tough competitor.
Right. I feel you. Then the quarterfinals, you're wrestling Josh Back, Letcher County Central, win that by tech fall 17-1. I mean, I can see that.
He's a tough kid. He's heavily involved in the Letcher Central youth program now. So that's
I think
really
he's
good
elementary and high school, all the levels. semifinals, Justin Davis from Eastern. He won that by a 7-6 decision. Now, I know that name, Justin Davis, but I don't know where.
Two-timer.
Okay.
He was tough.
Very
tough. Strong, probably one of the strongest kid I wrestled as a high schooler.
Really?
Had a great duck under, was explosive. Very hard to ride, but I was really good on top in high school. So he was tough.
What was the difference, 7-6?
I was really good at corner singles, and I hit a corner single, and I think I came up with it. And he was just so explosive, and he put me on my back. I think I went down 5-0 early in the first, and then came back. I took him down, rode him out, and took him down again. I think and kicked him maybe, and then I think in the third period I took him down and I turned him again, and I ended up beating him 7-6. So I was really good with tilts. I rode a lot of cross wrist, and he was tough, and that was a very tough match for me.
Son, good. I mean, that's when I got to referee the state tournament in 2020. The toughest matches that I had, even the finals. I mean, it was a good match, but the toughest officiating wise was the quarters and semis. Those are the most exciting rounds of the whole watching the quarters and the semis. But we get to the finals. You're wrestling Ben Warner of Oldham County. Now, Ben currently he has a youth program. I think it's called Olympus. That's what I thought. Olympus Wrestling. Ben's a good dude. Met him of course, I've known Ben for a while, but we talked about doing this at the middle school state and elementary state in Corbin this year, and we just couldn't get it worked out to do with him. And I think we was going to actually try to get both you guys together, but we just couldn't. And so I'm glad to be here getting Josh's perspective of it. Had you wrestled Ben before?
I wrestled Ben. So my junior year, I broke my foot. In the last playoff game, I broke it straight across, and I was out for the first month and a half of the season, basically all the practice time. I got wind that Ben, and his dad was coaching at that time, so I got wind that he was coming up to our annual Christmas tournament. And I think I got released on that Wednesday, and I wanted. I was ranked number 1, he was ranked number 2, and I knew why he was coming to town. So I was like, you know what, I'll wrestle him and just kind of gauge and see where I'm at. And of course, I didn't have a gas tank. I had nothing. 2 days on the mat and just kind of going with it, and wrestled him in the finals of the HCIWT, and he beat the tar out of me. I gassed probably in the first period. He rode a heck of a spiral and a Blair ride and just beat the tar out of me. Lots of blood time in that match as well, but he was the better man that day. And that was kind of one of the reasons why we spoke earlier. I stayed at 135. I wanted to try and avenge that loss. A lot of people would have went up or down, and but I felt like we had a really good shot to win a team state title that year, and it was better for the team. I'm a team guy, and I wanted another shot at Ben Warner, who was a great wrestler. My gosh, he was tough.
And talking about staying there, the Chris Floyd, Joey Stepp saga, the 98 season and the 99 season. Joey, if you haven't seen, you need to go back and watch. That's probably 2 of my favorite back-to-back videos is the Joey Stepp, Chris Floyd 99. But Joey says that Chris beat him in district. Of course, back then it was district, region, then state. But they met in 3 back-to-back weekends, district championships, region championships, and the state championship. And Chris beat Joey district and regions, but Joey was using those 2 matches as a prep for the state. What can I do when I get to the state? Because he knew he was going to be wrestling him in the state finals. What can I do? What have I seen? What was he good at? What was I better at? When you got under the lights when it counted. When you wrestled Ben, was there anything at the tournament that you just got released from? You was like, okay, I know he's good at this. What am I going to?
I knew I had to get off bottom. Okay. We were pretty even on our feet, and you'll see in the match where a split second. It cost me a state title. And he was great with the Blair ride, spiral ride, and just a leech on top. I knew I had to get off bottom. I had to keep the match on our feet, and I knew I could get out on bottom if I needed to. And that's kind of the way I coach my kids. If you want to be a great wrestler, you have to learn to get off bottom at least once. Because if you're great on your feet, you can keep the match on your feet. So that was I knew I had to get off bottom against him and just wear on him. And I had a gas tank then. And I knew if I pushed the pace, I was, a lot of motion and open attacks and body fakes. And I knew if I pushed the pace that I could, I thought that I could beat him. So
Now, of course, we're at the dungeon under the lights. Your dad was in, of course, the '84 final, like we just talked about. Did he? I'm sure he was probably at a lot of your practices. I'm sure he was probably at every meet. But did he give you any piece of advice, maybe the day of, or right before you went out, that he hadn't said before about his own state? It's like, hey, son, this, that, or.
He just said, leave it all out, leave it all on the mat, and do the best you can. I'm proud of you either way. Of course, hopefully, with my son and my daughter, I can tell them, you've done better than I did, and
right.
Go out there and be a state champ. And he was proud of me either way. The whole community and
right.
my family and my friends were. So, no matter the outcome, he was still proud of me. And
I got you.
So
it's I know that some people have really good stories about, my dad was in the finals and he told me this. So just trying to, like I said, please, if you have the '84 finals, reach out to us. We want to be able to tell that story from his perspective and the family perspective. But also this year, you have teammate Bo Sanders wrestling some guy named Harrison Courtney. Harrison Courtney versus Harrison County. That's
yes. That was a chant.
Yeah,
that happened
and
inadvertently.
Really, whenever I was messaging back and forth with Josh, I was typing in Harrison County, and I've messaged Harrison so much it was coming up Harrison Courtney. I have to go back and backspace and do autocorrect. But you got you at 135, teammate Bo Sanders at 140, both back to back in the finals. And of course, we'll talk about this in other videos. But Harrison County has currently has 15 state finalists, and they have 3 state champions. We're going to be talking to a couple more state finalists today, and 1 state champion. We don't want to spoil it here. We want you guys to watch and see who's going to be here today. We kind of watched a little bit earlier, converting it from a VHS to digital. But when was the last time you think maybe you watched this outside of today, earlier?
Probably, I'd say a few years ago, my former coach, Coach Tucker, that I coached with, I wrestled for, then coached with,
Right.
learned a lot from him. He sent me a few cell phone videos from him.
We got
and,
in case you don't know what
yeah.
a VHS tape is, we got these
the
old
play pack.
the old.
So he did that, and I thought I saved it to my drive, and it's one of those things that's hard to watch because it's a good memory, but heart wrenching, gut wrenching memory as well. So this will be probably the first time I watched it in decent quality, and other than that time in '07, I still have flashbacks, random flashbacks.
I got you.
Of losing, but this will be unique for me, so it'll be cool.
All right, now before we go on, I do want to say thank you for Josh brought me a hat today, a Harrison County hat. Now, what little hair I got left, I would put it on and wear it, but I don't want to mess it up. But I'm going to keep this, man, and keep the sticker on it. Thank you for
no problem.
giving me this, man.
We appreciate what you do, man.
It's great to be able to travel around the state and meet with guys. So far, we're filming this in July of 2022. I've been to Harrison, Woodford, Wayne, Christian, been up to Walton, Verona, met with the Moores, Lexington, Louisville, been over in Indiana to meet with Isaac Knable, Martin County, Johnson County. I've been to all these, all corners of the state, and it's just great getting to meet everybody, being able to tell everybody's story, and just let the Kentucky wrestling history be celebrated. So enough of us talking. Let's watch this match. You guys are seeing what we're seeing. In case you have my bingo card, we know some people have kind of reached out and said, we know that you're going to say that every time, but hey, what are you going to do? That's my catchphrase for starting off. But you guys are seeing what we're seeing. We're at the dungeon in Frankfort, under the lights, 135 pounds again. I'll say it in every video. Under the lights, state finals was the best atmosphere, the best environment that any KHSAA sport has ever produced. There is nothing close. If you got to experience it, you know what I'm talking about. Videos are great, but it was the best.
Oh my gosh, it was the most memorable moment of my career. That's for sure.
It's the under the lights, not just at Frankfort. Any venue now with LED lighting could have under the lights if just got into the right building. But under the lights was just absolutely incredible. So now we're going to hit the space bar, man. Let's do this.
All right.
Now, was that a final singlet right there?
That was our final singlet.
Those are sharp. I have to give it to you. Those are sharp.
I still have a bunch of those.
Do you?
I have mine in a glass case somewhere. I think that might have. I don't know if that was. I don't think that was the blood time yet.
Now, this is
Should
right,
be off that.
right
next
out of
exchange.
the beginning.
Yeah,
All right,
right
boom.
there.
So right out of the gate, was that
That was the
eyebrow?
eye. Yes, it was Rocky Balboa style. It huge cut and just swelled shut.
Cut me, Mick, right?
Yes, bleeding like crazy, and it cut the top of his head as well.
Oh, yeah.
So he was bleeding, just as much as me. I'm 99% sure this is probably the longest state finals match in the history, because we ran out of all blood, injury time, you name it, just to get through the match.
Yeah, and thank God the video's cut to where all the blood times cut out of it.
Yeah, we didn't want to watch all that. So there's a corner single there.
Yeah.
That was kind of my forte, single switch to a double, or
He's fighting it
either
pretty
or.
good. Now, that's your dad in the background.
Yes. So I would usually run that corner single to, like a football tackle, or
Right.
I'd hit a double, switch to a single.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, of course, we didn't do a whole lot of hand fighting back in the day, and a lot of open attacks, body
Mm-hmm.
fakes, and motion. That was kind of my forte, and just
Right.
pushing the pace.
All right. So now, when you guys are right here,
Right there.
He was too quick for
Yep.
me.
Come out of position for a split second, and cost me.
The
Right there on the edge. Can't relax on the edge. Use this example every year with my boys.
so Harrison County wrestlers, you're seeing, listen to your coach.
That's right. And like I said earlier, he was an animal on top. He was tough. He and his brother, they transferred in from Davidson, Michigan.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it's 2-1 in first period.
Yeah, knew I had to get off bottom because he was tough on top. It was just a touch and go double.
Like he's pressuring your head down.
Oh yeah, I think he's got a quarter Nelson in there.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Checking out the top of the head bandage here.
Oh yeah, my headgear broke in the
did it
finals
really?
too on one of his big returns. Kind of landed on my ear and broke my headgear.
All right, so he won the toss. He defers. Of course, you're taken down.
Mhm.
Had you worked on anything in practice just for getting off of Ben's
just
first
clear,
move?
working the spiral. I had a really great stand up. Here's where I break my headgear.
Oh, that's a good return right there.
Yeah, very good return. And there he is with that Blair ride, spiral ride, and I just worked constantly on trying to clear that and just get off bottom, which I hardly ever was rode out. It's probably one of the only times in my career I was rode out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just one of those things. He was a leech on top.
Out of bounds.
Pretty much, I wrestled with one eye, and he probably wrestled with his jaw taped, his mouth taped shut.
Yeah.
Because they had to go from top to bottom under his chin, so
My goodness.
it wasn't comfortable for either one of us. I couldn't see out of my eye.
All right, so right there you can tell that your I guess it's your right eye's kind of covered up.
Yep.
Get up.
Another big return.
Yep, good return.
Rode the tar out of that thigh ride.
And that's something too, kids. It's all right to be rough when you wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
That's what so many people miss out on is you can be rough. Don't be unsportsmanlike or flagrant or anything like that, unnecessary. But you can be rough. Those mat returns right there on Ben's, those are as legal as, as a half Nelson.
Yep.
So it's all right to be rough. You got that Joe out there,
Yep.
Joe Catan,
Yep. Todd Cole.
and Todd Cole. You remember, could you hear the crowd? Could you hear like your dad or anybody yelling at you? Or
If I heard anybody, it would have been my dad.
Mm-hmm.
That was such an electric environment, you
Yep.
know. And at that time, you're kind of tunnel vision and just going,
Right.
trying to do everything you can to win. And I always heard my dad. Coach Regal was one of those guys. If you're a good enough wrestler, I don't have to coach you a whole lot. I just sit
Right.
back and enjoy. And that was kind of his stance with me.
All right, trying to. Now this is your dad filming.
Probably my mom.
Like mom, okay.
With my dad close to her to keep her calm. She would get into it.
I can believe that.
I should have tried to kick out here. Or,
We got a stalemate.
yep.
Can always tell when it's a, mom or dad, a guardian, because the camera's kind of
Yep.
shaking.
And that was cut. I had to change my bandage and
Okay.
I borrowed Bo's headgear, actually. Here's where I thought I got an escape, but that would have tied it up 2-2 and
Right at the-
would have been a different ball game there.
So his choice, he's going to take down, of course.
He's going down. And he was just solid all the way around, I was really good with my tilts and turns and cross wrist, inside wrist stuff, and I could turn a whole lot of people, but I didn't turn him.
All right. Now, is it a tactical decision? Are you trying to keep him down? You want to cut him? What we looking to do?
I thought I could turn him, but I knew I would. Ideal situation, I get that escape. It's 2-2. I ride him out. I knew I could ride him out. At least keep him down. But different ball game now. I got to try to turn him and then have enough time to kick him and then, try and get to 2 for the win.
So what's your go-to turn from the top right there?
Just a cross wrist 2-on-1 tilt or a roll through tilt there. I would a lot of times I knew he was tough. I knew I would hit a tight waist and I would collapse that near arm, just a tight waist tilt, and I'd turn a lot of people with that. But he was equally as strong as me. We were pretty identical wrestlers as far as strength and athletic ability and things like that. So he was tough.
Still holding on to the leg.
And I think we go to stalemate here. He slips to the Wizard. Stalemate or blown out of bounds. One of them, fresh start. Yeah, I knew it was 40-some seconds. Just hurt my dad, so about 40 seconds I cut him. The old school horseshoes on my
Yeah, I like those, man. Those are.
I love those singles. Those were the best feeling singles. The Lycra, they were Lycra. I think they were Mat Men singles. So I'm going to go optional start here and kick him. And
Optional. Now, what are we thinking? You cut him. You got to have a takedown. What are we looking here? Like, what is your emergency go-to takedown?
Double, switch to a single. I could use, any other opponent. I probably would have scored at the end of the period here. But he was just so good, man. He was tough. Really good wrestler and definitely deserved to win. I wish he could have been here to do this review. I think that would have been really cool. And but very deserving. He was tough.
Yeah.
He and his brother. His dad's still coaching. He's still involved, so it's really cool to see the development. And we're both much bigger than we were at that time. And I tried to come up to a body lock there, Jason Ness style, but ended up taking the loss, 3-1.
So that's it, 3-1.
That's it.
Good match.
There's my old training partner.
Yeah.
A lot of my success goes to that guy right there as well. He was a great training partner, great teammate.
So I'm going to kind of give the tease there. Harrison Courtney, four-timer, we done his 2009, and we said 2007, Bo Sanders. 2008, Bo Sanders. Well, guess what we found today? I already messaged Harrison and gave him like a 15-second clip. So now we're going to be doing his 2007 video against Bo. So just a little tease of what's to come. So you've watched it now. I'm sure you've probably replayed it a trillion times in your head.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
in the wrestling room here, you've probably made examples or, hey, I was in the state finals and this is what cost me. I'm not going to let it happen to you. Watching it back, kind of, would you have done anything differently? How would you have coached yourself knowing?
Well, I wish, a lot of the techniques and the style that I've learned through the years through Coach Regal and Coach Tucker and then Coach James at Campbellsville, it was, I know a whole lot more now than I did back then. I was just a I had a very high pace, and I attacked, and I was crazy strong. I may not have looked like it, but I was.
Now you can tell you're big in that.
I was very strong.
You're a big kid
for
not
my
kid,
size.
but you're a big guy in that.
Yeah, and just all the technique that I know now. I wish I could just push it back there, but a lot of times, I think about wrestling a lot when I'm driving, and I'll have flashbacks, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it still eats at me, But better man for it. You got to learn, in life, you got to learn to take the wins and take the losses, and I think that loss there, and then the loss my senior year, kind of motivated me through my collegiate career, and had a successful career down at Campbellsville. And
you perfectly segued exactly what I was wanting to talk about. So, from high school, you go and you wrestle at Campbellsville.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of give us, how does your career go at Campbellsville?
Yep. So my freshman year, I came in, I kind of hit a little growth spurt, and I weighed about 185, 190, and you get to college, everybody's bigger, faster, stronger. There's no pushovers in college. Every match you're wrestling a state champ, All-American, and I ended up starting. I beat a senior for the starting spot coming in as a freshman, which shocked me because I'm still way overweight, and beat a guy who was another Kentucky wrestler, great friend of mine, James Linker from PRP. He was a NAIA All-American, and started as a freshman. First semester was rough. As you could see, you got to learn how to hand fight in college, and that was something I had to grow into. And I took some whippings as a freshman. I think I won 1 or 2 matches my first semester, and then I kind of got my diet and hit the weight room a little bit more, and ended up winning 16, 17 matches the second semester. So kind of took a leap there. And sophomore year, I redshirted. I wrestled 27, 28 matches as a sophomore, traveled around with the team, following the team. And I think I was 21, 22, and 5 as a sophomore. Start my junior year, had a great, and I jumped up. I went to 174. Came in and hit the weight room, because you either get strong and are able to match their strength, or you're stronger than them, and then you'll have more success. So I wanted to be stronger than them, so I hit the weight room and got pretty jacked up. And then I had my junior year is by far the best year until the East Region national qualifier, the semifinals. Kind of got hosed from a 2 seed to a 4 seed, so ended up hitting Chris Chianuma, a 2-time national champ. I pinned my way to the semis, and I'm wrestling him. I think it's 2-1, 2-2. We're tied, and I hit a corner single, and I went to hit a cutback, and he grabbed the instep of my foot and just destroyed my knee. I heard it just everything popped. My knee swelled up, and ended up having to forfeit out. Luckily, I hit my teammate, who was really good. He would have got an at-large bid, and we were hoping it wasn't as severe as we thought, and he forfeited to me to get me to the 3rd and 4th finals. But I had to wrestle my matches, because if I medical defaulted, I wouldn't have been able to advance for some reason.
Right.
So ended up going to a national tournament. I think I'm ranked third in the nation, and with one leg, I made it to the top 12.
Wow.
In the blood round, I lost to a kid that I'd previously beaten 9 or 10-1. I lost to him 10-6. I just couldn't get off bottom. I couldn't hardly do anything. And then senior year, I wrestled 74 again. Redshirt senior year, haven't again ranked top 5 in the nation, and just didn't. We go to Iowa where it's -10, and I really just don't think my body acclimated, and I didn't have a good tournament. My gas tank felt non-existent when I got up there, and didn't have a really good tournament, and just it was very disappointing for me, being ranked that high and then to kind of drop an egg like that. But that's how it goes. Then my last year, I bumped up to 84, so started my wrestling career at 103 as a varsity guy, and I'm at 84 my senior year in college, and I ended up developing. I don't know if I developed it or I had it my whole life. I don't know. But it kind of was exacerbated my senior year, and I think I was ranked 5th or 6th going to a national tournament. Ended up tearing my ankle up at the Midwest Classic, my first tournament back, and forfeited out, and I was out for a month and a half on crutches. Come back national duels, and I only wrestled 1 or 2 matches there, and then I had, I think, 15 matches going into the national tournament, or national qualifier, and our qualifier was loaded. And I wrestled Jamil Bryant, head coach at two-timer from Lindsey Wilson. Somehow, I think he's ranked second in the nation. I'm ranked third or fourth in the nation, maybe fifth or sixth, and we're the 4 and 5 seed. So we hit each other second round.
Yep.
And there's no match limit in college. So he beat me 3-2. Then I wrestled back 4, 5, 6 matches to third and fourth, and hit him again, and he beat me 2-1. He was a tough kid, and get to the national tournament and did okay. I just, I don't know. I don't know if it was the climate or what, but battling that. I think a lot of it was in my head too, battling that heart condition and all that stuff, and wasn't supposed to wrestle, but I did anyway, and just try to finish out my career on a good note. But it was awesome. I'm very appreciative of what wrestling has done for me and turned me into the man I am today. And hopefully one day I'll be as good as Coach Rick Dingus or Coach Russ Regal or Coach Luke Tucker. So that's kind of my goal. And wrestling's done a lot for me, made me the man I am today.
And on that point, this past season, Harrison County won the regional team title. I think that was the third one in school history.
Third
right?
one, yep.
That's what I thought. It was what, 2022?
So 82, 83, and then 83, 84.
Okay.
So they went back to back in those years. They had a great team. They were awesome. So 4 state finalists in 84, and 2 of their state placers that one of them should have won a state title, but he had pneumonia or something, wrestled anyway. 2 state placers didn't make it to the podium.
Oh, my.
So you have 4 finalists. I think they lost to Fern Creek by 11. So you throw in one more placer, and they're state champs.
That's a team. And also, you got your ring on.
Yep, that's our first girls' state title from 2019.
And I was good. We're going to talk about that just for a little bit. Kentucky, we haven't made it an official KHSAA sport. We're on the cusp. I mean, it's probably the next 2 or 3 board meetings, I can see girls wrestling in Kentucky being sanctioned as a actual event. But the Coaches Association has a girls' state tournament, and Harrison County's kind of dominated. Of course, in case you don't know, Harrison County mascot is the Thoroughbreds, but the girls' programs are called the Phillies.
Phillies, yes.
And kind of talk us about the girls' wrestling.
Oh, man, it was just something we had when I first came back to Harrison County in 2013 after wrestling in college and get my teaching degree. We had two girls on the team. They were sisters. It might have been the following year that they came out. Hardest workers in the room. They worked right here in this corner. And I guess 2019, she would have been a senior, yeah. And Scotty and I, we kind of had talked, and he had mentioned trying to get a girls' state tournament going. So I was like, heck yeah. So he pushed that out, and I just started recruiting the hallways, man. And we ended up with 16 girls our first year. Probably, I think the next highest team maybe had 6 or 7. So we go out there, we win the first girls' state title and had several state finalists. And I think we finished with all 2 or 3 runner-ups that year. And then 2020, we had our first 2 girls' state champs in Autumn Bergen and Riley Funkhauser. Ended up second that year. We had a few girls no-shows to the state tournament, and that cost us one of the number 1 ranked girls. Oh, so that's one of those flashbacks that still hurt. And I think we lost by a half point or 2 points, something like that. But the next year COVID year, so numbers are down a little bit, but we come back and we wrestle tough and we win another state title. Had a few more state champs, and then this past year we had a absolute battle with Taylor County, who's a great up-and-coming program. All of my former college teammates are down there coaching, and won our 3rd state title. So it's growing. The community is rallying around the wrestling program. I feel like everything's going in the right direction, and the community buzz is a lot about wrestling and girls wrestling. They're so intrigued and so fascinated that we have so many tough girls. We have 35 girls year in and year out, and they're just tough girls. And wrestling's for anybody. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be tall or small or whatever. We take anybody.
And that's the beauty of the weight classes. You may be very, myself in school, I wrestled 112 pounds, or you could be a heavyweight. I mean, there's everything in between. And before we put a bow on this, when we're talking about the community around, you may be familiar with the Harrison County baseball program. One of the best in the 90s, 4 state baseball championships.
4 state titles, yep.
And as an outsider, when I think of Harrison County, I think of the wrestling program and the baseball program. I think that's pretty much throughout the entire state.
Yep.
Is when Harrison County athletics get brought up, it always somehow ends up talking about baseball or wrestling or vice versa. So, and you know, leading the charge with the high school, leading the charge with the girls. It's just a matter of time before the girls have their own KHSAA sanctioned state tournament, and I'm sure you'll be there leading the Phillies on that one too.
I hope so. And, you know, none of this is possible without, you know, good people like you promoting the sport of wrestling in Kentucky, and our administration, all of our parents, our supporters, you know, and talking about Brett's baseball. That's Coach Mac Whitaker,
Yeah.
Hall of Fame coach, winningest coach in the state, and probably top 20 in the nation.
I would say you're probably right
so
about that. I don't have the
very
numbers,
happy
but-
for our sponsor. You know, happy to have the support of our sponsors and administration and the school system, and you know, we're blessed to have our own room, and we share it with a few other entities, but you know, for the most part, we can get in here and get a lot of work done.
Right.
So,
and that's, we're gonna wrap this one up here, but that's talking about the community. We know there's a lot of teams starting up, a lot of new schools getting wrestling. Couple things on that. Don't be afraid to reach out to people like Josh for help, for guidance. Hey, don't, and it takes a village. I mean, it does. It takes boosters. It takes your administration being on board. It takes people around the program that maybe wrestled in high school, wrestled in college. It takes community sponsors. I mean, it really takes a village. So don't be ashamed to reach out. I'm sure if you message him or call up with him on Facebook or whatever, he'd be more than happy to help. Maybe organize your first tournament or whatever. Don't just sit on something and maybe your first tournament or first year be a dud. Reach out to people, get some advice, because we want the sport of wrestling to grow. I know I do on the officiating end. I'm sure Josh does on the coaching. Have just more teams.
Yep.
We know there's a lot of teams supposed to be starting up next couple of years. So just reach out to somebody. Don't have no shame about reaching out. We're here to help you.
and if you're alumni, reach out. Get
Alumni,
involved.
yeah.
We're
Absolutely.
slowly starting to cycle, you know, our alumni back in. And if you're in an area like Pulaski County,
Right.
who doesn't have a whole lot of wrestling experience, and you have experience, reach out. Don't be
Yeah.
scared to get out there and get your feet wet and give back to the community and the kids, because they really need it. So
Absolutely. Now, let's wrap this one up. Any closing thoughts about what we just watched, or anything about your career?
oh man, it was, like I said earlier, wrestling, you know, took me places that I didn't think I'd ever go, and turned me out to be, you know, a pretty good father, husband, and coach.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, just the values and the lessons learned through the hard work and the sacrifice and the dedication, and you know, a lot of good. I say family because anybody who sacrifices in this sport and blood, you know, bleeds and sweats with you, I consider them family. And,
Absolutely.
you know, all my assistant coaches, and you know, big thanks to Ben Warner for, you know, wrestling me and being a good competitor. And he was, you know, hopefully he gets on there. Maybe you guys
Yeah.
can catch up on Zoom and get his take, because he was tough, man. He was one of the best, and it was an honor to compete against him. And you know, anybody else who helped me throughout my career, I appreciate you. And you know, most importantly, I appreciate Harrison County for welcoming me back, and all my assistant coaches. And we appreciate you, and we're going to send you home with something to kind of help with gas and promote this. So
Really appreciate
very
that.
appreciative of you and what you're doing for the Kentucky wrestling community.
And when we do Ben's video, you'll know, because he'll be the most attractive dude on the. He'll looks like a Ken doll sitting here
Oh, yeah.
beside of me.
Yeah.
So I have to put on my suit for that one. Feel like I'm at a big time event. Well, that's all we got today with Josh, 2007, and here in the wrestling room. But there's more Harrison County guys coming. I promise. Just follow the playlist down. You're really going to enjoy it. Got some good stories and some good guys coming up today. But from the home of Joe B. Hall, the home of the Walking Dead creators, the 3M Post-it notes, that's all we got. We'll see you guys on the mats. We'll see you guys in the next videos.